Y'all, these housewives showed up and showed out for part one of this reunion. Let's get into who was best dressed, who was full of BS, and what or who Ralph was doing down in Tampa. Catch. I got my notes. I hope y'all got yours. Let's get on into it. Now, first things first, y'all, we got to get into these runway looks and find out who was a hot mess and who was best dressed. Now, to be completely honest, I didn't think any of the ladies were horribly dressed. I thought everyone did a very, very good job of pulling it together for the look, which appeared to be like a dungeon type of look. In terms of who was the theme winner, I would say if we're just going solely on the dungeon theme, I think Kandi won hands down, right? She had a very, very nice Dita Von Teese type look, with the corset and, with her legs out. And it was just a very, very good thing for her as, the mistress of ceremony. So I thought she killed that look. And so all props go off to Kandi for being the theme winner. Now, just in terms of my personal fashion and what I liked, I would say that, Kandi's look was very good for the theme. But in terms of who, rocked the runway, whose look was like, very just like edgy, very, current, very modern, on trend, and just like amazing, I would give it up honestly to Cynthia as number one and Portia as number two. Those are my two favorite looks, the ones that I wanted to see more of. So shout outs to the to all the stylists, or if you girls put together your stuff yourself, kudos to you too. But in terms of my three top favorites, I would say Kandi, Cynthia, and Portia. Diving right on in, Kenya questioning Portia's activism because she wasn't invited to PSA. Kenya sure knows how to turn around a situation, y'all. Like, that's really how I feel in this situation. You've dragged Portia this entire season as to whether her activism work was legitimate. You've questioned her character. You talked about it being convenient that she was getting arrested, that she's doing this now with the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff. And so as a cherry on top, you say that, if she was really trying to create change and, further the mission and bring people together, that she would have invited you to her PSA. Listen, Portia is set up just like me in certain situations. If you talk about me like a dog in the streets, you want my energy, you want my attention, okay? You keep talking about me, questioning my character, my morals, etc. Why in the hell would I invite you down to my PSA to further my activism work, something that's positive in my life, bring your negativity into it? Now, the case can be made on the Kenya side that, if Portia was really this activist and for the greater good, that she would invite her along. But listen, Portia is human, and you can definitely understand the human aspect of it. And why would I invite you to my stuff when all you've done is tear things down, right? So I thought it was a very, very convenient reach for you to try to say that this girl should have invited you to her PSA, though you've been talking about her like a dog in these streets. Girl, good night. Kenya divorce is ongoing. She wants full custody. Kenya, in my opinion, I just don't think that you want to actually be divorced, because to me, the way to get through this divorce with Mark is to go the route of least contention, right? And so I'm honestly thinking that if she's trying to go for full custody, what she's trying to do is she wants to make all the decisions regarding Brooklyn and the show. Kenya loosely mentioned how Mark is always doing these power plays just in terms of Brooklyn and trying to, take digs at her or do things where, you have to blur Brooklyn's face out, or you can't, put Brooklyn in this scene or XYZ and stuff. And so if Kenya is granted sole legal physical custody of Brooklyn, she can now make those decisions on her own, right? Now, though Mark is no longer coming after her for alimony and stuff, I think that this pursuit of full custody, though it's good for your brand and the show and, probably, Brooklyn's upbringing anyway, since it seems like you spend most of the time with her anyway, I think that this is just going to cause more drama between you and Mark. Maybe you can agree to like an 80-20 rule, or maybe some sort of 50-50 custody where you make all the decisions regarding her person. I think that would probably go over well. But honestly, if you're going to fight this man for sole, legal, physical custody of the child, be prepared for a fight, because Mark doesn't look like the person, from what we've seen through the damn TV, that he's going to, take this lying down or take this easily. So all I know is pick your battles, but, I understand what you're doing, girl. Drew and the stray comment from Kenya. I felt like this episode was a combination of Drew finding her moments, finally, rightfully, right? And Kenya on her apology tour. So Drew basically brought up how Kenya had called her a stray in an effort to show how, before you even really knew me, you didn't like me, you were coming for me, and XYZ. Kenya is basically saying that the stray comment wasn't really, a dig at you. It was more a dig and a playful, shade towards Cynthia in terms of her ability to bring people into situations that didn't necessarily need to be there. Listen, the whole gag of the situation, Drew, is that, girl, you hold a peach, right? So whether or not she called you a stray or not, you are meant to be on that stage because you have been given the golden Atlanta peach for you to hold, okay, with the ladies there and, hold court with them. So listen, sometimes you got to learn how to pick your battles and which comments to go after, but I understand why you brought it up to sort of show this pattern of Kenya coming for you even if she didn't know you initially. And look, you did get an apology out of her. So listen, you got to take it where you can get it with Kenya, okay? Kenya's apologies this episode, some of them were legitimate. Others of them were, not so legitimate. We'll get into some of those later. But Drew, take that win in terms of her apologizing for calling you a stray girl. Kenya's Indian costume and her PR message. Honestly, y'all, I was surprised how this, we'll get into the Portia aspect of it after we cover the initial part, but I was really, as far as apology tours go, I thought that Kenya was direct. I thought she was concise. I thought she showed remorse for her actions. She said that she reached out to organizations to educate herself. She made a plan for moving forward. So listen, I thought she did excellent in terms of, doing this, PR stunt. Well, I'm not even call it a stunt because it seemed very legitimate. I believed every word of what she said in terms of her being apologetic for her behavior, not really understanding what was going on, and working to, be better going forward in terms of these, socially non-acceptable areas that you really shouldn't go down. So I was giving kudos to Kenya. So it took me by surprise when we go to the next note where Portia basically comes for Kenya in terms of her asking for forgiveness and wanting instant forgiveness in situations, but not giving that same courtesy to other people in terms of, dragging their past mistakes back up and always making that the forefront of her argument towards them. So Portia made a lot of sense. Growth and years on this show has done immense value to Portia's ability to reason through situations and be very logical and very concise and very direct in terms of her arguments towards people on this show. So it made perfect sense. Listen, if I am admitting that I was ignorant in the past as to, this issue, just in terms of like the Underground Railroad and whether or not, I knew it was a legitimate railroad or whether it wasn't, it was a figurative railroad. And she's saying, I made those mistakes in the past, but now I'm better. I've educated myself. I'm standing on, my truth now. I'm living in the history of my grandfather and I'm trying to do better going forward. Then why would you continually bring this back up as a way to bring me back down or delegitimize things that I'm trying to do in my life to better causes, right? So I thought Portia was very intelligent with that point, and I think it really rang home with, the people sitting there as well as the audience at home, just in terms of how I interacted with it. So kudos to Portia, and also kudos to Kenya for having, one of the best well-crafted apologies and, I'ma do better videos, well, not videos, but statements that I've seen in recent history on this show. So continuing on, Drew and Ralph are praised for how they handled old daddy's situation. I don't know if y'all are like me, but I'm kind of tired of hearing about old daddy. Y'all need to come up with another name, maybe like prior father, or that man, or child, those are even worse. Maybe just call him by his name, okay? Mr. Craig or Mr. David, or if you don't feel like calling him daddy, maybe call him Papa. Old Papa. You know what? Just stick with old daddy, because as I'm trying to reason through it, I don't have good suggestions. Let me just move on from that term. But I do think that Drew and Ralph did a very, very good job this season of showing, not everybody comes from that nuclear family situation where everything is rosy, everything is perfect, and, you can button everything up with a bow. There are going to be situations where, you were with somebody, they got into trouble, you're now like in a baby mother or baby mama type situation, and you're just trying to navigate through it and find a way to not let your child's heart be closed off while still honoring, the new person that you're with and the contribution that that person has made to your child's life. So I think that they definitely showed it in a very, very nice light. I think it's a difficult topic no matter, who was the person in front of the camera, but I thought that Ralph and Drew really handled it with grace and did the best that they could in terms of showcasing, the non-traditional American family, which, quiet as it's kept, is probably more traditional than people actually want to let on. Kenya tweeted a cringy comment on Josiah. Kenya apologized but didn't seem genuine. This basically apparently, y'all, I need to get on Twitter because it gets lit on Twitter and all these different little social media wars are happening. So apparently, Kenya retweeted a comment that basically loosely said that the whole Josiah situation and her trying to, get this child to interact with the father was cringy, right? So to reiterate, Kenya retweeted this. She did not type this herself and send it, right? But the implication is that if you retweet something, these are your actual thoughts of what you think. And, someone may have put it better, but you're basically putting it on your timeline and just saying, this is what I really think. So the implication is there. And I think Kenya knew what she was doing by putting out this tweet or retweeting it rather. And she knew the effect that it was going to make. It's pretty much, you might as well have just said it yourself. But you were able to try to, throw a rock and hide your hands in terms of, oh, I didn't say it, I retweeted it. It's the same effect of it. And listen, Drew found her moment in the situation. I thought Drew's response to Kenya was excellent. She was basically saying, I thought there was this unspoken rule or just a known rule that children are off limits. So you let me know how low we can go, because I can go just as low as you if that's where we're going with this. And, I think it's true. Listen, on these reality TV shows, on these housewife shows, children are off limits. Leave the children alone. Child, when they're 18, then they're fair game, okay? In that situation, if y'all remember a few years ago with Kim Zolciak's daughter and Nene Leakes. Listen, once your ass turns, 18, 19, 20, and your ass got a whole ass Twitter where you are coming for me, it is fair game. But when you are 12, 13, 14, hell, 0 through 17, okay, leave them children out of it. Leave them alone. Have your thoughts and comments at home, okay? Listen, everything is not for everybody, and every situation is not for you to comment on publicly. And I think that's the takeaway from this whole situation. Drew handled it very, very well. Kenya did apologize though, but she gave one of those housewives apologies where it's like, I apologize if I hurt you, which I did. Here's this apology, girl, go on. And I do not like apologies with qualifications. Either apologize or don't, right? But these half-assed apologies, they never go over well, and they only serve to put a Band-Aid on situations that are just going to probably just, reappear later. But listen, as I said with Kenny, you gotta take what you can get when you can get it. And listen, if she gave you an apology, on some level, it was probably somewhat genuine. Okay, so just, take that and move forward. Be happy with your life. Now let's get into what I really wanted to talk about with this whole damn video. Ralph and Tampa. Okay, Ralph says he was alone. Y'all, I believe in a spirit of discernment, and I believe that when situations don't make sense, it's because they don't make sense. The part that kills me with this whole Ralph Tampa situation is that if we understood Ralph and his ties to Tampa, it would really alleviate most of people's concerns, and hell, most of my concerns with the whole damn situation to begin with, right? Because, you know, Atlanta to Tampa is pretty much 450 miles. So you pass all of these damn beaches to head down to the Tampa beach to, as you say, you know, run, go to dinners of one where you have, you know, these convenient receipts, these receipts of your run, and that you were clearing your head. It doesn't make sense. I mean, you know, did your parents grow up in Tampa? Did you go there for, you know, family vacations? You know, did you spend time in Tampa? You know, just any time. Like, what is your tie to Tampa? Tampa is so random. Like, I cannot see me going 450 miles outside of where I normally live to clear my head, and there's nothing that I'm specifically going to visit in that city, right? And so, listen, when Ralph was giving his bullshit, you know, story and whatnot of how he was pretty much eat, pray, loving, running, eating, smiling, sitting in bubble baths, reading his journal, and you know, writing letters to himself. And listen, from my interaction with heterosexual men, okay, what I have been told is that when a heterosexual man has taken time to think about a situation or remove himself from a situation, you know, there is no period of off. There might be a slight period of reflection, but when they're off with you, they are on with somebody else, okay? And, you know, heterosexual men don't necessarily need to eat, pray, love, or reflect, or paint their toenails, honey, go on runs, eat down to the restaurant with convenient checks that say party of one, okay? That shit does not make any sense, right? And so it just doesn't make sense. The situation does not make sense. And I think it read through on everyone's faces there, especially Candy's, right? And Candy said something very important. She said, when Andy asked her, you know, your face has just been going crazy throughout this whole situation. It doesn't look like you're believing what Ralph is saying. And Candy said, listen, the way I'm set up, it would be a problem if this happened with Todd, but the situation is not for me to believe it. As long as she believes it, that's all that matters. And I think that that's what we can say on the situation. Drew, if you are going to believe this cockamamie excuse that this man gives you, then, you know, more power to you. If you guys have gone to therapy and you've healed and you've, you know, ate, prayed, and loved together, and now you can get past it, that's fine. In my spirit of discernment, I'm feeling some very Dr. Jackie Curtis vibes or whatever. And Andy told your ass right when he said, listen, you're pretty known now, okay? And there are Real Housewives spies, because y'all remember when Curtis was down to the airport with the other woman, and whether it was Gossip or another blog that found his ass and, you know, put all the receipts down to the damn blogs and stuff and put his shit on Front Street. And listen, you know, 2 years ago, promises is all I heard. That just came into my mind. Listen, we gonna look back in 2 years, and I'm hoping that this was not a situation where this was like the biggest cover up known to man in terms of you lying in these people's faces. And another thing, Ralph, baby, you are lucky that you are attractive, okay? Because you were able to he and hell your way out of this situation and tootsie roll and backpedal out of this situation. You know, these ladies seem to give you somewhat of a pass, even though their faces belied their true feelings on the situation. So, listen, all I can say is be better next time. Stay in Atlanta if you're gonna go to a beach, and have a better story. Have a better story. Because at my core, I really feel in my spirit and in my soul. And I'm not saying that Ralph was cheating on Drew, right? I'm not saying that, you know, he may or may not have another family. I'm just saying the story of why you're in Tampa. And Andy did say Tampa was the stripper capital USA. Stripper Ampa is what I'm calling it now. So Ralph says he ain't go down to a strip club, but listen, have a better story and do better in the future. We just gonna leave it at that, because I don't think we'll ever find out where Ralph truly was in Tampa, his other family, and what was going on. But be careful, Ralph, because there's spies out here in these streets looking at you now. So be careful. And lastly, y'all, LaToya came in hot. Apparently, Drew needs to do an inventory of her husband as well as the assistants and company that she keeps. Because between the damn assistant, stirring up mess between LaToya, Prophet, Lot, and Drew, and then this new assistant that done ran into LaToya's dressing room telling her, if you sick, Drew Sidora has sent you some vitamin C. Girl, you need to get your team together, in the words of Nene Leakes. Get your team together, okay? Like, I don't understand how you got all these people around you that's stirring up all this mess and controversy, and you sitting there, dumbfounded and don't know nothing. Listen, truth is stranger than fiction sometimes, and I do feel that you can't be as confused as you letting on, whether or not you told these people to explicitly do it, or whether they're acting out of things that you told them before, or because of what they think that you'll like for them to do. I don't know. But listen, LaToya did not come to play. I told y'all in a prior video, LaToya has two speeds. Either she's calm or she's rah, rah, rah. And LaToya did not come to play. Anywho, y'all, drop down in the comments and let me know what y'all thought about who was best dressed, the drama with Portia, Drew, Kenya, and all of them, and just your general thoughts on this situation. And if you liked what I said, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on YouTube, Instagram, and Stereo at DatDamnDasher. And until next time, y'all, if you're going to lie, make sure that the lies make sense. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.